stand with us and sing a song. Walking with this heavy weight on my shoulders. Walking with this heavy weight and bring it here. Yeah, walking with this heavy weight on my shoulders. And I bring it here today. 'Cause you are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. So lose my chain. So lose my chain. I'm walking with anxiety. Who am I supposed to be? Yeah, I'm walking with anxiety. What I've become. Maybe it's a broken heart. Just don't know where to start. Bring it here. 'Cause you are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. So lose my chain. So lose my chains. I lose my chain. So lose my chains. Lose my chain. Well, welcome. You guys awake yet? Some of you are. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. Happy Thanksgiving. Some of you, we got a crazy week ahead of us. Some of you had a crazy week already. This is our moment, you know, this is our chance for something to be more than another event, another time to be busy. We get to connect with God. And you know, I never thought I'd be standing in a real church playing music, because I didn't think that there was a place that I could just be me next to someone else being them. That I need to be good enough or look good enough. And this is what Riverbend is, you know. This is a place we can come look for God no matter where we're at or what we believe. None of that matters. And that's what all these songs are written about today. My experience with coming into a church and not getting kicked out. So Lord, we let go of our week last week. We let go of the anxiety that we may have for the week to come. We ask you to come and just be with us. whatever that means. We want to feel you, we want to hear you, we want to know you. So we let go. Come bring your freedom. Come bring forgiveness. Come bring your peace. You're my redemption. Sing that to him. Come bring your freedom. Come bring forgiveness. Yeah, come bring your peace. You're my redemption. 'Cause you are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. You are my chain loser. So lose my chains. So lose my chains. I lose my chains. Lose my chains. I lose my chains. Lose my chains. I lose my chains. Lose my
Happy Thanksgiving. Say Happy Thanksgiving to as many people as you can. As you're finding your seat, I don't know about you, I love Thanksgiving. And what I love about Thanksgiving are the quirky Thanksgiving traditions. Like, let me ask you this, be as honest as you can. How many of you plan to overeat this week? All right, this is a more difficult question. How many of you plan not to overeat, but you will? Yeah, there's the honest group. How many of you are familiar with the tryptophan coma? Yeah, Thursday, loosen the belt and you're out. How many of you will watch football this week? Football during Thanksgiving? Yeah, that's good. Thank you for being Texans and Americans. How many of you will spend time with family and friends this week for Thanksgiving? All right. How many of you will eat that congealed canned cranberry sauce this week? No. God bless you, but no. I mean, it's very visually appealing to me. You know how it oozes out of the can and it's perfectly formed and you kind of slice it so symmetrically and it just lays there. It just looks like it. I can't eat anything called congealed. I can't do it. But Thanksgiving for me is about tradition. It's about the things that are familiar. It's what I love about Thanksgiving. But I want to suggest today that maybe you haven't thought of it this way, but what we're celebrating on Thanksgiving is not tradition. What we're celebrating on Thanksgiving is actually change. See, what we're celebrating on Thanksgiving is we're celebrating that our lives have changed. That perhaps we've gone from scarcity to abundance. Perhaps we've gone from poverty to wealth. Perhaps we've gone from loneliness to familiarity. Perhaps we've gone from sadness to happiness. You see, the motivation for Thanksgiving is change. Thanksgiving is a celebration of change. And change is an amazing thing. It's a good thing. It's a beneficial thing. And we celebrate that when we celebrate Thanksgiving. It changes us. It changes how we see the world that we live in. You see, there's more to it than just this idea that what has happened to us, and we reflect and we look back and we're changed because we count our blessings, because we take accounting of things that we're thankful for. Actually, giving thanks actually produces in us change. By giving thanks, it changes us. By finding things that we're thankful for, by counting our blessings, we actually begin to see the world differently. We begin to see our lives differently. We begin to take an accounting of the world around us differently. We see everything differently because we give thanks. Thanksgiving isn't just the measure of how our lives have changed. It is actually the means to change. As we give thanks, it changes us. Oh Lord, you have examined my heart, and you know everything about me. You know when I sit or I stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I am going to say even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand.
If I end up like them, get stabbed in the back by my friends, what if I look like an idiot? What if I die alone and rejected? What if I'm ugly and worn? What if I fall in love and get torn in two? If I never find any peace or any truth, one day I won't be afraid. I understand these words you say. See, I cannot see. You are watching over me. If I lose all that I have, if I can't have kids, what if I stay sad? What if I'm just a loser? If I stay a junkie or user, one day I won't be afraid. I understand all these words you say. See them when I cannot see. You've been watching over me. You guys would stand with us and sing this tune. This is an anthem, I feel like, for this place, for how God treats us. Why do I sit here and look for mistakes and find all my meaning in things that just fade? Will you call me your child? No matter my state, and you send your mercy to cover me, cover me, cover me. You cover me, cover me, cover me. That again. Why do I sit here and look for mistakes, find all my meaning, things that just fade? 'Cause you call me your child. So send me your mercy, cover me, cover me, cover me, cover me, cover me, cover me from the storm. Cover me, cover me, cover me, you cover me, cover me, cover me, cover me. cover me. Even when I don't feel it. Even when it hurts. Even when it's dark. Even when I can't see you. Cover me. Cover me. Because may be seated.
We live in an unsettled world that is constantly changing. The only thing that doesn't change about the world that we live in is that things will always change. In a moment, without warning, everything can change. Just when we think we have it nailed, just when we have it just right, everything can change. And while we like to embrace the idea of change, and while we find good in change, it's hard. Change is hard. Because you see what change does is change introduces the unknown. It's a dark corridor. We're not sure whether it's going to be change that's good or bad. The uncertainty can make us uneasy, can make us frightened, terrified. And so most of us spend most of our lives trying to find shelter, to find those anchors that don't change, those things, those people, those relationships, those reliable things that are immune to change, immutable. So we look for those places of refuge, those places of shelter, those places of safety. And we cherish them. Thanksgiving is such a shelter. Thanksgiving is fashioned by the celebration of change, but it insulates us. It reminds us of the sufficiency of God, of the provision of God. You see, Thanksgiving is a shelter that is built on the sufficiency and the provision of God. It's a shelter that's actually built on generosity, on God's generosity. That's why Thanksgiving and generosity are so closely connected. That when we see our life and we say, what I have is enough, this is sufficient, I am secure, then we can be generous. Then we can share that. We want to share that. And as we share that, we produce those things that establish those reliable, safe things, those things for which we give thanks. Because there's a connection between finding that place of safety, seeing the sufficiency of our life and giving thanks, and proving that gratitude with generosity. That's what we're doing today. We're celebrating God's sufficiency. We're celebrating the generosity that provides for us. So it's appropriate at this time that we receive our offering, because really what that is a thank you note. It's an expression of our gratitude, that we see that God is sufficient, that we can find a refuge there, that we're safe through our generosity. This is how Thanksgiving saves us. This is how Thanksgiving allows us to see ourselves and the world that we live in through a different lens, to see ourselves differently, to see ourselves as sufficient and enough. So as we receive our offering this morning, I would ask you to keep those things in mind. And as we wait on you for our offering, would you pray with me? Father in heaven, I thank you for the generosity of this community that is expressed so faithfully, so thankfully, so creatively every day to each other and to this community and even to the world that we live in. Pray that that spirit of generosity will continue to grow, and we will give you the thanks for it. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and all God's people said, amen. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night, but even in darkness I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you.
I let go of who I claim to be.
I remember writing that and read some Thomas Merton and spent some time with Dave, and it occurred to me that there's no arrival in this walk, this search for God. There's no place that we have to get to be good or there or right. And that kind of, man, it took so much weight off. That I don't need to be perfect, but I don't need to, I guess for our next week is I don't need to have a perfect turkey. They come pre-cooked anyway, so. But that's, if we really believe that, I think a lot of people think that, it's not uncommon to go to a place and feel like you've got to be better than you are. You've got to hide who you really are. And it's a shame because we can let that go. We can let that go here, and that's what makes this place a special place for me, and I hope for you. So when you walk through this door, there's nothing different that you have to put on or be. And he's constantly working on us, he's constantly, whether we know it or not, whether we believe it or not, he's a good dad. So if you'd stand with me and sing this song, let's sing this to him, that idea that we don't have to be anything to come to him today. I'm not much for change, but I just cannot stay the same. I'm not much for this. I want to hear the words you have to say. 'Cause you are real. may be seated.
I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. I think one of the reasons it's my favorite holiday is because it's so obvious. What is Thanksgiving about? Thanksgiving. Giving. It's hard to get confused when the title tells you what it is. I also love it because it's so delicious. I mean, I'm looking forward to a tryptophan coma and overeating. Looking forward to watching my brother-in-law eat that congealed cranberry goo. It's just so symmetrical. Most of all, looking forward to experiencing the mosaic of what matters most. The people. The friends, the family. That really define what's most significant, for which I'm most thankful. But even as I say that, I know that for many of us, it's the very thing that makes Thanksgiving the most difficult of holidays. Because we can't help but see who's not there. We can't help but see the empty chair. We can't help but feel the hole in our heart. And all we see is what we've lost and who we don't have around the table. And it makes it the most difficult of days. It's that thing where even though we're surrounded by family and friends, there's a loneliness that we feel because of who can't be there. And even though we're in a group of people and surrounded by others, we're alone. But the one thing I know about Thanksgiving, the one thing I know that is absolutely true, is that you are not alone. You are not alone in those feelings. In fact, we are never alone. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. See, that's how Thanksgiving saves us. It reminds us that we are enough, that we have enough, that God is sufficient. It reminds us of those provisions. It reminds us of those moments that we have enjoyed, those people who have changed us and built into us. What it does is it recalibrates us. It redefines good and bad. It redefines pain and loss. It redefines dark and light. You see, we can actually see differently. We can see in the dark. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become like night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like day, for darkness is as light to you. That which we see as darkness becomes light when we see it through his eyes, when we see it through his sufficiency. When we give thanks for that which we have and that which we've lost and that which we've lacked, we see ourselves, we see our life, we see the world, we see everything differently. This Thanksgiving, we want to see the world that way. We want to see the world through his eyes.
y'all have an awesome Thanksgiving. God be with you. We will see y'all next time at Riverbend.